2020, and 2 drivers' championships are all on the line today, as some of the best drivers in Canada race for victory in the Eastern and Western finals of the 1988 Players GM Motorsport Series.
Jim Paulson with you on the mock grid at Mosport. The cars are moving away for the final round in the Players GM Motorsport Series East. We are ready to go. The field is close. It's going to be a hard-fought battle today. The weather is ideal here in Southern Ontario. And, of course, we're ready for the final round out in the western part of the championship series in Calgary, Alberta. Ron, how is the weather in that part of the country?
Thanks, Jim. Behind me is the road course at Race City Speedway in Calgary, Alberta. And it's here that the western installment in the 1988 Players GM Motorsport drama will soon be played out. Now, the weather is part of the story here in Calgary. Qualifying was held on a very slick track, and although it's not raining now, the track is still very, very slippery in many of the corners. So get ready for some edge-of-the-chair east-west excitement as Wide World of Sports brings you all of the action in the finals of the 1988 Players GM Motorsport Series this week from Ontario's Mosport Park and Alberta's Race City Speedway. But right now, here's Jim with the Eastern Series Championship points leaders.
Richard, you got to beat him.
True, I just need to finish ahead of him.
Oh, that's all you're looking for. I think Ron's a little tense about this. You got to get by him then.
I'm not tense. He's tense. I'm ahead. He's behind.
Is this in your camp, Ron, or his?
Well, I have 2 points. That's better than being 2 points behind.
I don't know. Richard seems hot. He blew the old qualifying record away. You weren't quite able to catch him, Ron, but it's going to all boil down to the race.
Yeah, 6/100ths. That equals about 6 feet over 2.5 miles. It's still close.
Well, the way I look at it, 2 points, it's not enough for the last race. You know, if I finish ahead of him, I gain 3 points. So you only need to win by 1 point. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, the strategy is real simple. He's got to beat me, and I got to beat him. Okay. It's going to be decided at corner 10, exiting corner 10 on the last lap. That's too tight for me.
Gentlemen, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Go get him.
Thanks, Jim.
With only 2 points separating them, Spinard and Fellows will be putting on championship performances at Mosport today. And now, here's Ron in Calgary with the Western Series Drivers' Championship leader.
From Race City Speedway in Calgary, Alberta, last year's driver champion and this year's point leader is Frank Allers. And Frank, the weather's not cooperating, going to cause you some problems today. Let's talk about that, what's going to happen today as far as the driver is concerned.
Well, the main problem really is if a car in front of you gets off the line or onto the dirt and gets on your windshield, you can't see. So vision's the big thing. Wet, you know, the wet conditions are just like they are for everybody else or any other time, but vision's a real big problem here.
Hard to believe it's the end of the season. This is the final race. You have a 23-point lead over Tony Morris going in. Any particular strategy now just to hold the point lead?
Well, you know, the main concern is to win the series. So really, and I'm starting beside Tony, and so really I just have to keep him in sight. But, you know, if the opportunity presents itself, I'd like to win the race too. So.
For the flag racing team, it's been a most successful season, Frank. Some overall views about the entire season.
Well, I think this year was a lot more competitive. I mean, last year I had I don't know if it was a really good start to the year. This year I had a kind of a rough start, and I've been chasing the whole time. And had some good races lately, but Tony's been pushing me all the way.
23 points behind the leader, Frank Allers, is Tony Morris. And Tony, a key race today. Hard to believe it's the end of the racing season, but interesting you're against your teammate.
Yeah, that's right, Ron. It's taken a long time to get here. It's been an up and down season for us. We've been on the podium nearly every race, but the way the system worked this year, it's been so close at the top, and it wasn't until the last race that Frank won and I came third that there was a big spread came in the points, so it's nice to see flag 1-2. It was 1-3 last year, but 1-2 is much nicer.
All right, what about the strategy from your point of view? Against your teammate, against Frank today, the weather's cold, it could have some rain later on. You're 23 points behind. Can you do it?
Well, obviously, I won't do it by doing anything to Frank. That's nice that the team's 1-2. I'd really like to win it, but Frank's a good guy. He's been my teammate for nearly 10 years now. We don't go out there and put pressure on each other. So if the brakes come, I'm going to take it. And Frank will understand that too, and that's the way it's going to be.
This is only the second year that this race series has been running. Some overall impressions, Tony. Have you enjoyed the entire concept?
Oh, yeah, I've loved it. I ran it in the East in '86 and was a mid-packer. We only ran 2 races, and it's very technical, and the cars are fantastic. You know, General Motors produced the cars absolutely identical, and I think it's just a fantastic series. It's a good professional series for Canada, and players and GM, they've done a great job.
Tony Morris, number 2 in the race standings as we go to the final race today in the Players GM Motorsport Series here in Calgary, Alberta. And we'll be back with all the action east and west after these messages.
As we wind up to race time in the Players GM Series Finals East and West, let's meet one of the leaders in the tight Eastern Rookie Championship battle.
David Empring, a marvelous victory the last time out in this Players GM Motorsport Series. I'm sorry we didn't film that one.
Oh, I wish you had. It was very exciting for me, my first win. Certainly was the highest point of my season.
Tell me what happened in Quebec.
Well, I didn't qualify as well as I'd hoped, so I started on the front row, and it turned out very well.
You led it all the way?
From start to finish.
We're down to the crunch now. This is the last run at Mosport for 1988 for this title. You and Rob are fighting for what, third overall?
Third overall and Rookie of the Year.
And so this Rookie of the Year we should talk about. Important to you?
Oh, very important. It's coming down to the last race. I have a slight point advantage on Rob, but not enough to sit on.
Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
David's nemesis is Rob Fellows.
Rob, are you ready for Mosport? A little different here than Quebec. You obviously want to do a little better here.
Yeah, I qualified third and ended up fifth in the race, which was a bit of a setback, and I was happy for David to win that. I was a little surprised to see him up there, but he did a super job, and it was good for him to win that.
Okay, you guys are fighting for third overall or that Rookie of the Year title. Would one be a little more important than the other, or do you want them both, Rob?
Well, right now everything's important. I'm just trying to stay focused on what we're doing for the weekend, and you know, third overall is great, fourth overall is great, but you know, I'm going for everything I can right now.
As the cars are being positioned on the grid here at Mosport, let's go to Calgary, where Ron has a special driver guest.
You know, for the TV viewer, and of course you are so familiar with the world of television, it's a great addition, I think, this year that some of these cars have been equipped with cameras. Sometimes, and we had the pleasure of having your car thus equipped today, and I'd like you, if you would, to take our viewers through perhaps one of the races and explain your views from the driver's perspective.
All right, I'm not sure what a pleasure it'll be, but yeah, this will be a warm-up lap that we took this morning. Sure, MacGyver can't get this thing to work. What we're going to do is take a warm-up lap here at Race City, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We come out of the pit lane here, and it's about mid-straightaway, front straightaway, which is ultimately the fastest part of the course. We'll be hitting about 120 to 125 miles an hour down this straightaway. And heading into the first left-hand turn, these guys who have been doing this for years know how to take this at its optimum speed. I'm still kind of easing into such matters. It's quite a ride getting down that straightaway and breaking into a 90-degree left-hand turn. Now we're starting to wind it out. We've just been through the slowest part of the course in a second gear turn. We're into third now and starting to let it wind out. And this is where it gets to be fun. You're starting to play with the car and let it kind of feather it through this. So your foot is to the floor. You're under light braking to set up for a left-hand turn, which leads into a chicane up here, the S's, which is infamous for causing all kinds of people to go haywire. You see what happens. Ideally, you stay on the track, but everybody gets both wheels, seem to, for some reason, get both wheels up on those two curves. Now, this is the second back straightaway, which is the second fastest part of it, and it's paralleling the front straightaway. Again, about 100 miles an hour under heavy braking, and now you've got walls staring at you, which is something that we try to avoid at all costs. And again, this is a second gear turn that is going to lead onto our front straightaway. It's the most critical to get out of here fast and as efficiently as possible. So you can see it's a little wet out here. That adds all kinds of, changes all kinds of strategies as far as racing and how you actually drive the course, because it gets dang slippery out there.
Richard Dean Anderson of MacGyver, and we'll go to Mosport after these messages.
At Mosport, the showroom stock Trans Am Firebirds and IROC Z Camaros are moving onto the track, and with them is GM's Marty Shenhall.
What a race we've got built up here today. Glenn Smith is on the pole. Right beside him is Robin Buck from the SO Protec team. Second row has got Mark Dankos, Robin's teammate, alongside Rob Fellows, who's going for the Rookie of the Year award in our Players GM Motorsport Series East. On the next row, Ron Fellows. Ron is the current leader by 2 points. So there's a 2-point spread between he and his companion on the third row of the grid, Richard Spinard, the champion of the first Players Challenge Series in 1986. They are 2 points apart. Rob Fellows is looking at a 3-point lead for Rookie of the Year over David Empringham, who's 2 rows back. I think we've got a tremendous race ready to go.
Thanks, Marty, and yes, you can feel the tension mounting here as the cars head out on the pace lap. It's a big 36-car field, and the first corner of Mosport can be very difficult in traffic. Of course, not only that, but we have got a driver on the pole who has never been there before. Number 9, Glenn Smith. So we don't know how he'll react to the pressure. Our fastest qualifier was Richard Spinard, who set a new lap record in his number 42 Motomaster Camaro. But because of the inversion of the top 6 qualifiers used in this series to heighten competition, Richard starts from row 3 beside the man he must beat for the championship, Ron Fellows, in that distinctive blue number 43 Sunoco Gold Trans Am. Others to watch: Rob Fellows, number 44, Robin Buck, number 10, and his SO Pro Tech teammate, Dr. Mark Denkos, number 11, in the bright yellow machines. Here they come, heading up the back straight. There's Robin on the first row beside Glenn Smith. Rest of the field maintaining good position behind that front row. A good start depends on the guys up front maintaining proper pace and position. Here's what it looks like from Rob Fellows' viewpoint on row 2. Okay, the pace car is off. Now the lead cars come out of corner 10, onto the pit straight. They pick up speed, and we're away. A perfect start and a perfect day for racing. Here's corner 1. Plenty of heavy traffic and a fast down and away corner, but Glenn Smith handles it well, maintains the lead, followed by Robin Buck, Rob Fellows, and a thundering herd. Smith is still out front. There's Buck, and Richard Spinard has already dropped Ron Fellows and Mark Dankos to move into third. Now he's trying up Buck on the inside. Spinard's game plan appears to be aggression today. High-speed shooting hard on the brakes into corner 5. Moss corner, the hairpin. This difficult corner, the most important one on the track. How you handle this one dictates your top speed on the back straight. Here we are on the fastest part of the track with number 9, Glenn Smith, still holding his unaccustomed lead over Buck, Spinard, and the rest. If you've been a series regular, you know these cars are virtually identical. So driver's skill is usually the margin of victory. And as you can see, these men and women are well matched. Now they head on a corner 10 to complete lap 1. Glenn Smith holding a slight lead over Robin Buck, and we'll be back to the action after this. Welcome back to Mosport, Ontario for Eastern final action in this special East-West Players GM Series Championship show. Our leader is still number 9, Glenn Smith, but Richard Spinard has now outdueled Robin Buck to move his Motomaster Camaro into second. Buck is third, and Rob Fellows is fourth, with Dr. Mark Dankos, the flying medical man from Quebec, in fifth. Here's Smith in the chute with Spinard on his tail. And oh, Smith's lost it on 5. Spinard dives underneath. Smith takes a bite out of Buck, but the rest are through cleanly. Glenn Smith takes a deep breath. He gets right way around for the back straight, dropping back to 8th place. So Spinard is in first, but I'll tell you, he was lucky there. Smith could easily have punched number 42 right out of this race and the Drivers' Championship. In the melee,
Rob Fellows, 44, moving into second. Robin Buck, number 10, is third. Number 11, Mark Dankos, is fourth. Number 12, Claude Boyer, slipping into fifth. And David Empringham is sixth, ahead of championship points leader Ron Fellows. So with Spenard in the lead, anticipation mounts here at Mosport. What's it like for you, Ron?
Jim, it's much the same here at Race City Speedway. The cars are forming up now. We're only minutes away from race time. As you can see, the weather has improved dramatically since this morning. Covering trackside action today is Paul Cook, and if anybody knows racing and race drivers, it's Paul. He's Executive Vice President of the Canadian Automobile Sports Club, the group that sanctions races like this. I'm going upstairs to cover the race. Paul Cook is at trackside.
We're almost ready to go at Race City Speedway. The cars are leaving the grid. We've got Wade Lee on the pole, Terry Craig beside him, Paul Gilgan, Murray Craig, Frank Allers, Tony Morris, Rex Thompson, Andy Mahood, and the rest of the field have left.
Thanks, Paul. Well, there they go on the pace lap. And here in the West, it all comes down to this final series race with number 1, Frank Allers, number 88, Tony Morris, and number 99, Paul Gilgan, all locked in a fierce battle for the driver's crown. Frank Allers was our fastest qualifier, but thanks to the inverted grid, the pole belongs to number 51, Terry Craig of the Airborne team. His sights set firmly on the rookie championship, which he currently leads over number 24, Ian McIntosh, and number 35, Kevin Dowler of Edmonton. This corner, coming out of the chicane, is difficult and slick, perhaps the toughest these drivers will face today. The track has dried considerably, but there are still wet spots, and there's lots of mud right at trackside. So anybody leaving the track may have trouble getting back on. And if they do, they'll bring a lot of slippery mud with them. In the drivers' meeting just before the race, the chief steward asked for a good start, meaning keep your pace down until you see the green, boys. And Terry Craig, 51, and Wade Lee, 79, are doing just that as we head toward the start-finish line. There goes the pace car. There's the green, and here we go. As the drivers immediately spread to 3 and 4 abreast on this very wide straight, looking for an advantage right away. Terry Craig holds first over his brother Murray, number 55, as he pulls a train through corner 1. It's the Airborne Duick team out front with Wade Lee in third, and number 88, Tony Morris, in fourth, ahead of teammate Frank Allers, with Ian McIntosh pushing Paul Gilgan to seventh. As Rick Anderson, or MacGyver, mentioned before the race, this is the most technically demanding section of the course. But his Airborne teammates Terry and Murray Craig are handling it well on this first lap as they lead the field onto the back straight. Look at the mud there. Drop a wheel here and you're in trouble. It's still number 51, Terry Craig, as they head into the final corner on lap 1. You know, it almost looks like Murray is blocking for his brother, but that can't be. Blocking is a no-no, and Murray would never do a thing like that. Here they come, onto the front straight, and the Airborne boys are really flying with Wade Lee, number 79, tucked tight into third, and Tony Morris in fourth and looking to make up ground. Through corner 1, Terry Craig is leading, and look out, there goes Tony Morris. He's well off into the gumbo. And he's brought it back, but too hot, and he does a 180 in front of the field. Lucky he didn't get clipped by the heavy traffic. Now he's in reverse, and there, he's T-boned and shoved back into the dirt. Okay, now, Tony's under control, and he's back into the hunt. But that was a very costly stunt. It's dropped him to 19th overall and probably killed his championship chances. Out front, it's Terry Craig, then brother Murray, Wade Lee, and now in fourth, Frank Allers. Ian McIntosh is in fifth. Paul Gilgan is sixth. John Simonson of Calgary holds down seventh. and number 35, Kevin Dowler, has moved up to 8. And even though he's leading, Terry Craig looks somewhat overmatched right now. He's getting loose in the corners. And Brother Murray has his number 55 Firebird tucked right up against Terry's Camaro. Murray Craig holds a commercial helicopter pilot's license and often flies to Players GM events. So these speeds of 125 miles per hour or so must seem relatively tame for him. Obviously, Terry's going too slow for Murray because he's pushing him through the corner. Oops, a little wiggle there, and Terry's gone wide. So Brother Murray slips through into first, followed by Frank Allers, who also rushes through the door left open by Terry. And just like that, Terry Craig finds himself in third behind Brother Murray in car 55. And Frank Allers wearing the number 1 that is the mark of last year's Drivers' Champion. The S's. Frank Allers turns up the heat. Even though he is only to finish to repeat as 1988 Drivers' Champion, Frank obviously wants more than that. And this corner is still dicey as number 77 finds the mud. That's Carl Hara of Edmonton blinding Rick Anderson, and Hara's heading for the duck pond. Nope, the computer specialist has got his Firebird stopped, but it looks like he's dug in and out of the race. Across the start-finish line, Murray Craig has a slight advantage on Frank Allers, and we'll be back for more East-West Players GM action after these brief messages.
And what an exciting race we've got going here. It looks like Richard is in the lead for the championship, and Rob Fellows in the lead for the Rookie of the Year.
Yes, Marty, Richard Spernard and Rob Fellows are putting on a clinic here today. They're running a moderately comfortable 1-2 in this race, with number 10, Robin Buck, in third. Mark Denkos, number 11, in fourth. Now, a Spernard eye view of the high-speed shoot into the hairpin. Now, there's Spernard's Motomaster teammate, David Empringham, number 45. He's in fifth. Ron Fellows currently 6th. And now Ron attempting to reel in Empringham. Here they are on the back straights, doing well over 100 miles an hour through this section. It's still the Spernard Fellows show out front. Oh, take a look at this action back in the pack. We've got Paul Reynolds, number 16, Ian Phillips, number 70, John Catman Jr., 71, Brett Goodman's number 28, Peter Cohen, 66. They are all fighting for position. Who says the competition's only at the front? Not in your life, as these guys give it all they've got to win that battle for 12th spot. Meanwhile, up front of the relative calm, Richard Spernard just this tantalizingly close to Rob Fellows. It would appear that Richard is quicker through this part of the course, and Rob picks up ground on the backside. So this race now becomes a tactical one for Spernard. He must decide whether to push hard enough to maintain his lead and win this race, or maybe back off slightly and perhaps avoid a costly error could destroy his championship chances. After all, he needs only to finish ahead of Ron Fellows to regain his Drivers' Championship. So, I don't know, backing off, that would mean allowing Rob Fellows to win. I'm not sure that would sit very well with the extremely competitive Richard Spernard. Meanwhile, Ron Fellows is literally shoving Claude Poirier aside in his bid to move up. So you know he's still after that championship in a big way. As our leaders once more rise up Mosport, Spain back straight. We're now in the middle laps of our 15-lap Players GM Motorsport Eastern Series final. And the gods of racing are smiling down on us all. Not only are we being treated to a fine duel between two very talented drivers and a support cast that threatens to steal the racing show, we're also enjoying ideal weather. Another lap falls into our leader's wheels as Richard Spernard gears up to fourth for that sweeping right-hander. And Rob Fellows plays follow the leader through corner one. You want to know just how serious the drivers on this National Series are? Well, last weekend on this track,
Rob and Ron Fellows ran 2 regional races apiece, looking for just the right tire pressure, the perfect car setup, the ideal lines through the corners that would give them an edge on this championship day. Did they find it? Well, we'll soon see. No, here comes the Wild Bunch again. Scott Maxwell, Ian Phillips, Brett Goodman, John Cadman Jr., Paul Reynolds et al. They're making like rush hour in Seoul. Ron Fellows continuing his assault on poor Claude Poirier. This time driving number 12 to distraction, blasting back into 6th overall. Oh, Brett Goodman finds a new and necessary line for his number 28 Texaco Haviland Special on the hairpin, and discovers that in any duel, some gotta win and some gotta lose. Oh, here's another loss up ground by Spinard to Rob Fellows, who's close to striking distance. But even so, the rookie can't catch the Can-A veteran through corner 10 and onto the pit straight. So Spinard maintains his lead by the slimmest of margins. Well, looks like 76 Joseph Lapsevich has had a close encounter with someone. Oh, that'll do it for Joe. He limps into the pits. Oh, and here's another casualty. Number 19, Terry Betts, out for the duration. But we'll be back real soon with more racing action.
Welcome back to the Players GM Western Final. Here's a Paul Cook update.
Here at Race City Speedway, things are heating up. Frank Allers has taken over first place after Murray Craig's spin. Terry Craig is up front. He's never been there before in second place. Wade Lee's going into third. Ian McIntosh is in fourth. Paul Gilgan is behind McIntosh. Dowler's behind Gilgan. We've got Simonson doing a good job behind Dowler.
Yes, Paul, I think Murray Craig looked in his mirrors once too often, and it cost him the lead. Allers is now out in front, and Terry Craig, number 51, has second, but not for long as Wade Lee, 79, takes the inside line here and drops Terry into third, with Paul Gilgan, 99, hanging tight in fourth, and I mean very tight. Terry must feel like he's in a meat grinder. And there's number 13, Andy Mahood in the weeds, another casualty of the S's, as Frank Allers motors through with consummate ease, using every inch of the track and a little bit extra to help straighten the corners. The yellow warns drivers to watch for Mahood's car as Wade Lee in second fronts a pack of folks looking to take Terry Craig's third place spot. There's a war developing behind Allers, but Frank's in good shape as the laps click away toward magic number 15 and another driver's title for the talented 38-year-old from Coquitlam, BC. Number 79, Wade Lee has the hometown fans cheering for our current second-place driver, but it's going to take some kind of special driving to catch Mr. Allers once he's got the bit in his mouth like this. If anyone will give it a shot, though, Wade will, and I'm going to tell you, number 35, Kevin Dowler, looks awfully steady out there in fifth. Into corner one, Wade Lee loses the back end. Here's how it looks from Terry Craig's car. He's fishtailing into the wet, onto the dry. Now he has found the mud, and all he can do is put both feet in and hang on. Terry Craig swings around on the outside along with Paul Gilgan, but it's a bad choice for both as number 35, Kevin Dowler, ducks under everybody and into second place as the field streams by. Wade gets his Camaro cranked around and going in the right direction, but it's triple bogey time, and Wade's got a whole lot of catching up to do. Of course, safely out in front, Frank Allers will only find out about all this if his pit crew radios a message. Otherwise, he'll read about it in the race summaries. Compounding a felony, Wade Lee tries too much too soon and loses it again. This time, though, there is no recovery. He's hurt something in his car, and he'll have to park it here in Calgary.
And here at Mosport, in earlier action run, unlucky 13, Ronald Hamlin found the fence at Moss Corner, while 89, Michael McGuire, and 96, Scott McCall do some dirty dancing of their own, even drawing in 28, Brett Goodman for a step or two. Well, everybody got sorted out, back on the way, back in Moss Corner. In fact, any corner for that matter, it continues to be no problem for these guys. Richard Spinard, Rob Fellows continue to set the pace. Remember the heat Claude Poirier, number 12, was getting from Ron Fellows? Well, now he's got number 86, Randy McDonald, climbing all over him. Claude will definitely remember this day. But these are the drivers all eyes are on. Richard Spinard and Ron Fellows with the SO Protec team of Robin Buck and Mark Dankos hanging tough. And David Empringham hoping for a miracle in 5th. Now, let's go down to trackside, find out how Marty Shenhall sees it.
What an exciting race. Richard Spinard looks like he's going to clinch the series championship. Rob Fellows is right behind him. It looks like he's going to be Rookie of the Year as Ron Fellows tries a pass in turn 1. Boy, the action is really heating up. We're getting towards the closing stages of the race.
Yes, Marty, there's only about 1.5 laps remaining, and you just know that Richard, as cool as he is having to work hard to suppress that boatload of emotion. Concentration vital now. He knows it. Claude Poirier is probably emotional right now, too, for a totally different reason. Randy McDonald takes the corner with his elbows flying. Now, back with the leaders on the back straight. I see smoke out of Robin Buck's car. Can't make out the cause, though. Now, Ron Fellows must be feeling the frustration as he looks for some way to improve on his current 6th. Entering the final series of corners leading to the start-finish line, Spinard is in control. Robin Buck definitely in trouble. He's flattened the tire. That'll put number 10 on the sideline. Oh, that's a hard way to end the season for Robin. But perhaps a perfect way for Richard Spinard. He begins the final lap of the final race in the 88 Players GM Motorsport Series East. Spinard has driven a technically faultless race. And Rob Fellows has made the 86 champion be perfect. Rob's been right there through 14-plus laps, waiting to pounce on even the smallest weakness shown by Spinard. Cat and mouse, that is the essence of racing. And here, Claude Poirier continuing to play mouse to Randy McDonald's cat. The last time for our leaders down the chute into Moss Corner. Rob Fellows tightens the gap, but Spinard hits the back straight first. Mark Dankos has 3rd. McDonald snarls at Poirier's heels, but this mouse has a few tricks of his own. And McDonald bites the dust, bumps as Poirier hauls horsepower toward home. Race under pressure, the ability to rise to a challenge and sustain peak performance for as long as it takes. That has always been Richard Spinard's strength. Into the final corners. Rob Fellows tests that strength with an unexpected pass attempt on the inside. Spinard counters. The leaders bump, and Spinard recovers, takes the checkered flag. Fractions ahead of Rob Fellows. What a race, what a finish. Well, there's our 1988 Players GM Motorsport Eastern Drivers Champion, number 1 indeed, and we'll be back with more. There's joy on the Motormaster team at Mosport.
Well, Richard, what can we say? What a marvelous run today, and what a challenge at the end there, side by side.
Yeah, actually, it was getting close. I probably slowed myself down, knowing that Ron was far behind, and suddenly I saw Rob catching up. I said, well, should I finish 2nd or I should maintain my lead and just assure the championship? And I saw that in some corners I was faster, so I was trying my best there, and I was being very careful where he could have passed me. But on the last lap, he tried something here which I didn't expect, and he actually bumped me in the rear, and I could have lost control. So I made sure that if he would bump me, I wouldn't lose it. So we ended up finishing very close.
Richard, not only a marvelous victory and a tight one here at Mosport to wrap up the Players GM Motorsport Series, but you've got the title. Okay, let's get to it. Mark Dankos, a nice 3rd place here today. Oh, I tell you, Mark, I don't know what happened with Robin there toward the end, but you pulled it off and came in 3rd.
Well, I thank Robin because he had a flat tire, so I mean, but I was pushing hard for the last lap, and I was closing in, and I said in the Moss Corner, if something happens, if he doesn't do it perfect, he didn't do it perfect. So, I mean...
Young Rob Fellows. Would you welcome Rob? Gives you a nice overall finish to wrap up 1988. It's been a nice debut for you, Rob.
Yeah, I'm really happy the way it turned out. A little disappointed for Ron, but, you know, those are the breaks in racing, and you got to take them when you can get them.
And out of Shannonville, Ontario, would you welcome back Richard Spinard, our champ. What a nice run. And you just pulled it off today. He almost scared you in the last lap.
It turned out to be a very close finish, so I'm very happy. It's been a long season for us. We struggled toward the beginning of the season, but we slowly caught up, and finally in the last race, we won the championship.
Mr. Richard Spinard, our overall champion. George, Tom, I don't know, do we have a special thought for this overall champ?
To be a champion of a series takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of teamwork, and it takes a lot of teamwork in our organization at GM of Canada and the support of the Players Organization and Goodyear.
Tom, closing thoughts here. It's been a great year.
It's been a fantastic year, Jim, and Richard won the series 2 years ago, and I think the real skill and determination of a driver shows when he can come back and have the determination to come back and win another year.
Richard Spinard, race winner and series champion here at Mosport, Ron.
A fine repeat champion, Jim, and it looks like we're going to have a repeat winner here on the West, too, as the last lap signal is given to Frank Allers, our leader by a mile, with Kevin Dowler in second and Paul Gilgan a close third. Richard had to wait a year to recapture his Eastern title, but Frank Allers will make it 2 Western championships in a row, a tremendous feat. All he has to do is keep the greasy side down and the track under him for a few more kilometers. Frank started out slowly this season, but finished with a rush to hold a slim championship points lead going into this race. Paul Gilgan in third behind Kevin Dowler couldn't get his yellow number 99 close enough to take a shot at the points leader. And although Tony Morris did a brilliant job to work back as far as 7th, he still came up a nickel short. Rookie Kevin Dowler showed promise with a smart ride from 9th to 3rd, but couldn't overcome Terry Craig's lead in the Rookie of the Year race. But the cream of this crop on this cool and changeable Calgary day is obviously Frank Allers, #1 on his car, #1 in this race, and #1 in the Drivers' Championship 2 years in a row. A fine win for a superb driver. The track marshals, the fans, and all of us salute Frank Allers, the 1988 Players GM Motorsport Western Series champion. And in just a few moments, we'll hear from our 88 champ. The winner of the final race in the Players GM Motorsport Series, the champion of the entire series, is Frank Allers. Congratulations, Frank.
Thanks very much.
What about today's race?
Boy, there was a lot of action in the first couple laps. I can't even remember what all happened, but Tony got wide in one corner up there and then went off in the mud, and then it was just every man for himself after that.
Thank you, Frank, and now on to the awards ceremony.
I would like to thank our friends at General Motors, who we are in partners with in this sponsorship, and also Goodyear. This is the final race in the Players GM Motorsport Series for 1988. Both Players and General Motors have announced that we'll be back into this series again next year, even bigger, so we hope to see you all out here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gary Watt from Imperial Tobacco. Now, to present the trophies to our top 3 drivers, Mr. Jerry Warman of General Motors of Canada Limited.
We hope that you, the fans, have enjoyed the high speed and highly competitive racing that you've seen in the series this year. As Gary has said, without the fan support, this series would be nothing. So thank you again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
In 3rd place from Calgary, driving car number 99, how about a hand, everyone, for Paul Gilgan. In 2nd place from Edmonton, driving car number 35, Kevin Dowler. And the winner, who takes home a check for $5,500 from Coquitlam, BC, Frank Allers.
Frank Allers and Richard Spinard, deserving champions in 2 fine series. Well, it's been quite a season and quite a finale, East and West. Thank you for being part of the excitement of the 1988 Players GM Motorsport Series. Be sure to join us next year for what promises to be an even better 1989 season. Now, on behalf of my colleague Jim Paulson at Mosport, Ontario, this is Ron Hewitt saying goodbye from Race City Speedway in Calgary, Alberta.